Welcome to this new analysis. So, today we're going to explore one of the most fascinating and, truth be told, most insidious cyber threats out there in the corporate world. That is, forget the usual sloppy phishing attempts or the blatantly fake links that jump out at you immediately. Today we're talking about a perfect optical illusion, something that manages to deceive even the most experienced eyes here at our company. So hold on tight, because we're literally about to unmask a technical trick that turns the alphabet itself into a weapon. Think about the last time you clicked on our corporate bank's link or maybe one of the internal portals. If, when looking at the address bar up top, the name seems absolutely perfect, letter for letter. Are you really 100% sure it's real? Until recently, well, we all would have answered yes without hesitation, right? After all, we've always been taught to check the URL with extreme care. But what happens when trusting your own eyes is no longer enough? What exactly happens when our brain tells us we're looking at a familiar and super safe word, but the computer behind the scenes is reading something completely different? Look at this quote directly from our research. It's a truly chilling reminder of just how microscopic this threat can be. It says, "That single Cyrillic A swapped for a Latin A just handed a criminal your employee's credentials." Okay, let's dive into the heart of this matter. We're not talking about movie hackers busting through a firewall with incomprehensible code. No, we're talking about a single letter. A letter, almost imperceptible to our eye, which nonetheless changes absolutely everything, and the employee in question didn't notice a thing. To understand how something like this is technically possible, we need to take a small step back and peek at the hidden gears. So, what exactly is this Punycode? Picture the domain name system as the old phone book of the internet. At the start, it spoke only one language, ASCII. It could only understand the 26 letters of the English alphabet, the numbers 0 through 9, and hyphens, that's it. No accented letters, no Chinese characters, no Cyrillic alphabet. But of course, the internet is global. A company in Moscow needs its name in Russian. Makes sense, right? So engineers came up with Punycode. Think of it as a simple but ingenious translator. It literally bridges the rich Unicode alphabets of the entire world and the somewhat rigid basic alphabet of the internet's infrastructure. And you know what's curious? Punycode was born in the early 2000s. That means our threat exploits a trick invented before the smartphone even existed. It was created to be inclusive, to connect the world, but it inadvertently opened up a massive chasm for security. And this brilliantly illustrates the problem. Take a look here. On the left, we have the legitimate domain, the classic one, made up of normal Latin characters. On the right, however, is a potential attacker's domain. I challenge you to spot the difference with the naked eye. They look absolutely identical, don't they? But here's the trick. The domain on the right doesn't use the Latin alphabet at all. It uses characters from the Cyrillic alphabet that, in the standard fonts of our browsers, look exactly the same. Professionals call this a homograph attack. In practice, the attacker creates an impeccable illusion that fully deceives our brain. But if they look identical to us, what does the machine actually see? Well, the real trick reveals itself right here, behind the scenes. This is what your computer chews on and actually sees. That seemingly perfect Cyrillic domain gets taken by the browser and translated into its raw Punycode format. And keep this key detail in mind. That format always begins with XN-. So while you're calmly reading your trusted brand's name and feeling super safe, the internet's routing system is diverting your connection straight to that unreadable domain, something like xn-apple43d.com. Boom. The illusion shatters. This is exactly how cybercriminals screw us over. They register the version with special characters, knowing perfectly well that your browser will magically transform it into a reassuring word. And unfortunately, folks, we're not talking about academic theory. Look at this documented real-world case. The attackers targeted none other than Coinbase. On the left is the real site. On the right, the trap. These guys managed to create pixel-perfect replicas of the original site, complete with the green padlock and valid certificates that the browser swallows without a problem, cloning logos and layouts in 2 flat minutes. In this specific case, they swapped a single tiny letter. They took the Latin O and dropped in a Cyrillic O. This minuscule alteration caused incalculable damage. It was enough to deceive a ton of victims, pushing them to hand over their data on a phishing page that was literally pixel perfect, all for the effort of typing a single different letter. Let me tell you, those criminals must have paid for some luxury dinners entirely with stolen credentials. All right, let's move on to the daily practice of our company, because the fantastic news is that you are far from defenseless. Absolutely not. Knowing this little trick means having the superpower to neutralize it. We've put together a true operational manual for all of you. You know, standard security technology, like spam filters, sometimes goes a bit haywire when faced with domains registered 5 minutes ago. And the old golden rule of check the URL carefully goes right out the window if the URL looks perfect. So it falls on you. You are our first line of human defense, and now we're giving you the right tactics to unmask this invisible threat before you even type half a password. So, the crucial point is precisely this rapid verification process. Burn it into your mind. Step 1, the healthiest habit of all, always, and I mean always, hover your mouse over a link before clicking, especially if the email is screaming urgency. Look at the little bar at the bottom of your browser, step 2, and this is your real secret weapon, ruthless hunting for the XN-, prefix. If you spot those 4 letters at the start of the corporate link, halt, everyone stop. It's the unmistakable signature of Punycode in action. Step 3, do you have the slightest doubt? Don't play the hero. Copy the address and throw it into a free online decoder like punycoder.com. That site will mercilessly dismantle the illusion and show you the real, hidden characters. But hey, don't think you're alone out there on this battlefield. While we're asking you to keep your eyes peeled on links, know that our security team and IT infrastructure are fighting this same war at the system level. We're not trying to dump all the responsibility on your clicks. Far from it. We're constantly strengthening a layered defense. A kind of invisible corporate shield that grinds away in the background 24/7 to intercept and disintegrate the vast majority of these attacks, blocking them miles before they can even graze your inboxes or your phones. And here's what we're cooking up in our behind-the-scenes arsenal. First, we use super advanced DNS filtering to nip in the bud connections to domains with strange alphabets or ones born literally yesterday. Second, and this is a truly cunning defensive move, we buy the domains before they do. We proactively register the variants of our corporate names using Cyrillic, Greek, and Latin characters. In short, we gladly spend those $10 or $20 a year to take the toy right out of the hacker's hands, preventing them from claiming it instead of us. Finally, we comb through the public certificate transparency logs. The moment anyone, anywhere in the world, tries to request a security certificate for a site that smells like a clone of ours, we know about it. It's pure, continuous intelligence work. Here we are at the end of our analysis, and I want to leave you with this pretty tough reflection. Now that you know how it works, now that you've seen with your own eyes that cybercriminals can perfectly forge a domain just by exploiting the multilingualism of the internet, how will you look at your next email marked as urgent? The one begging you desperately to verify your password or to authorize a wire transfer immediately. Always remember, urgency is their favorite psychological weapon, and Punycode is their technical weapon. If a URL looks familiar to you, well, that's no longer a guarantee. Never blindly trust what you see. Train your muscle memory. Hover. Hunt for the hidden prefix. And if something smells fishy, decode it. Thank you so much for following this vital deep dive. Stay safe.